would you stay till the morning light? Or would you follow me? Or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light?
Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Also, if you are new, welcome. We are heading back for day 2 in my Helping Hand series, helping out this mama with her overwhelmed house. Last week, if you missed it, we did her family room slash like toy area and got that all under control. And today we are going to work on her kitchen slash dinette area and get that all under control. I'm super excited about it because I know just having that family room kitchen area together is going to make her feel so much better and just take another huge load off of her. So we're going to head over there, see how they've done maintaining the family room, and get to work right away on the kitchen.
I just want you to know that I didn't throw your stuff away. Before you make up your mind that I'm nowhere to find, I'm standing right here. I know that I told you we're over. I swear that I'm sober.
I have to say, this project has been so enjoyable. This sweet mama has been so helpful with every step of the process, and she's just been so motivated to get rid of stuff that we have been able to get so much done in such a short amount of time. I know I've mentioned this in previous videos, but if you are new here, I do not have a huge crew of people coming in and helping me. It is just me and the homeowners, if they don't mind being on camera or anything, doing all of this work. So having someone that is willing to jump in and really motivated to just downsize and get rid of anything and everything that they really truly don't need is amazing. You're going to notice in some of these shots that where I'm like just stopping and talking, I like to really explain the process I go through when deciding what to keep and what to donate. That way they're not so overwhelmed. Often donating is just almost like you go into a paralysis from it of not knowing even where to start, how to start. But once you get going, it becomes so much easier. So I like to break it down, letting them know, okay, let's just grab the obvious things. The obvious, I don't need this things, and break it down smaller. And then as the pile gets smaller, then we can go more into detail and really think about, okay, is this something we want? Is this something we need? And to be okay with the idea of if it doesn't happen this time, you can go through it another month, 2 months from now and downsize even more. And that is totally okay. We were talking though, and one of the areas she struggles is her mom is so sweet and will constantly bring stuff over that she finds just to help her out and stuff. And it's totally a loving thing that parents do sometimes that you're like, okay, now I don't need all this. So a lot of the stuff we were going through is also things that she's just been given and not been using. So making sure to go through and donate it. We are saving some stuff because we are going to do a makeover of her kitchen and family room. Nothing massive, but I am a very firm believer that it's a lot easier to keep your space clean when you love your space. So just a little facelift can make the biggest difference in the world. So we plan on painting these walls, adding some curtains, some better storage, especially for the kids, and just really making this a place that she can love and is more useful for her and her family.
I'm sober, just listen, I miss you. And I know that I said all these things, but now when you're with her, I can see that you miss me.
Now, the thing I find hardest when it comes to kitchens and getting rid of stuff is when we buy stuff, often like if you buy pots and pans, dishes, cutlery, anything like that, they come in sets. And we are very drawn to the idea of it's a set, we have to keep everything. This is often when I like to talk about people like, okay, but do you use it? Because if you bought a set of pots and pans, but you're only using 3 of the 5, you really don't have to hold on to the other two. And getting to that point where it's like, okay, this dishes set came with little plates and big bowls and little bowls, but we only use the big plates and the little bowls. It's okay to get rid of the stuff you don't use and to donate it. I also always like to figure out what they're most comfortable with when it comes to donating or selling. That was one of the questions she asked. She's like, I've spent so much money on like those tumblers. They're all custom tumblers. Should I try and sell them or should I donate them? I'm like, well, that is truly personal preference. And I let her know my rule. My rule is if it's under $20 and I could go out and replace it easily, I donate it. Because for me, the amount of time and effort that goes into listing it on Facebook Marketplace and everything like that isn't, in my opinion, worth it. Now, for everyone, that could be different. It could be $10 for you. It could be $50 for you. So you really have to figure out what number that is. But I am definitely someone that I think it is a lot easier and more likely to be taken care of if things are donated. And I always recommend save those receipts. Those are things that you can write off on your taxes. And often people don't do this because they're like, oh, well, it's just a little bit here, a little bit there. But I promise those little bits here and there truly add up over time. You may not think it's much now, but a year of decluttering, you would be surprised at the thousands of dollars that you could write off in donations on your taxes. And in today's day and age and economy, even if it's not a lot saved, a little bit here and a little bit there adds up quickly. I was actually watching something the other day and saying how it's usually not those big expenses that have people struggling, but it's those little expenses, those little $5 subscriptions and those $6 coffees, little things like that that end up financially hurting people. And I can say the same thing when it comes to saving money. We often think of these little things that don't really matter, but in the long run can really add up. So figure out what works for you. Also keep in mind that getting rid of this stuff, even though it may feel hard because you've spent your good hard-earned money on it, the amount of time it saves you is worth so much more in the long run, and just your mental health. Living in a clean space will make all the difference in the world when it comes to your anxiety, depression, your motivation. It's so much easier to get motivated and do so much more with your life when you are in a clean and organized space. And if you think of the value of just those things alone, it really does add up. It's hard, I know, sometimes when we think about monetary value, but your mental health has value in itself, and your time has value.
You're playing your cards with your queen of hearts. When everyone folds, your fork still holds. Your place in your bed, showing no regret. Close your eyes to hide your lies, roll the dice. You got me tiptoeing around you like you're made of glass.
Now, when I'm cleaning, I do like to start in sections. So if you are doing just a normal day-to-day cleaning, I always tell people start top to bottom. But when you are doing something massive like this, I like to work in sections. So you'll see me vacuuming and mopping here. That way I can move stuff back and wiping down counters. Now, at the end of the day, I do a final like vacuum and mop. But I do like to do everything in each section as I go just to see the progress. It's amazing when you work in a circular motion around a room that's a little more chaotic and section it off into smaller bite-sized pieces instead of jumping from location to location. It is so much easier to stay motivated because you see the progress. And often the hardest part of big projects is the lack of motivation because it feels so overwhelming and so just like anxiety driven. that I highly recommend breaking it down. And if you can get someone to come in, and honestly, even if they're not helping you, they're just there keeping you motivated by talking with you, helping you make those decisions. Sometimes you just need someone to give you the okay to let something go. Often in this situation, she would ask, she's like, do I really need this? And I couldn't honestly completely tell you. It's her house, it's her stuff. But just getting that okay from me, like, yes, if you aren't using it, it's okay to let it go, was all the motivation and push she needed to say, okay, let's get rid of it. Let's start over. I don't need 20 broken tablets and cell phones anymore, because I know she's not the only one that holds on to every cell phone and tablet that has collected over the years. Bobby used to be the worst at that. He used to save every single cell phone and tablet that we owned, and it would just end up in a drawer. Don't know why, but he did. And it does take sometimes that just push of, okay, yes, it is okay to let it go. The great thing though is because she was so motivated and helpful with all of this, we were able to go through every drawer and cabinet in her kitchen and really, really get down to the nitty gritty. We were able to reorganize things, everything. And this is definitely something that if I was in here by myself, I wouldn't have been able to do in these couple of hours. So I love when I can get in here and really, really make a difference in such a short amount of time, because someone's so motivated to get going. Now, we are also going through all of the food. When's the last time you went through your pantry and got rid of the stuff that you're truly not using? Maybe you bought it and your kids didn't like it or you didn't like it, but once again, you're holding on to it because, well, I spent money on it and it hasn't gone bad. It's one of those things that it's in a can or it's in a box and it doesn't really have an expiration date, but it is taking up valuable space that could be used for something that you could actually get use out of on a daily basis. So we did make a separate box. So anything that was unopened that she didn't need could go to a food pantry. These are all great ways to give back to your community and then also get your space organized. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, especially when it comes to the kitchen, is it is okay to change your mind. Often we organize a space and we get so stuck on that's the way we organized it, that's the way we should keep it. But keep in mind that as you evolve, your needs and wants completely change. So if you have to move stuff around and change the way it's organized, that is totally okay. You're actually going to see here in a little bit that happens a lot in this space. I may put some stuff in one drawer and then we end up moving it around because we have more space. She also had one of those clear stackable drawers in her kitchen that held a lot of snacks and stuff for the kids. And once we downsized and moved stuff around and just organized it in a more adequate way, we were actually able to get rid of an entire stackable of storage by moving those things into one of these drawers. The kids could way more easily see it all and get to it and just make life a lot easier. The other thing we did is moved her spices around. Her little 2-year-old, he is a little spitfire. So sweet, so curious, but definitely one of those kids that you got to keep an eye on, which I totally understand. We were laughing and giggling so much about how much her little boy is like Bjorn and just everything he did in the little mannerisms and attitude and everything. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my boy. I'm like, it's such a great personality as they get older, but man at that too. He's so curious. But needless to say, when it came to spices, she kept having all of her spices spilt because he would get into the kitchen, find the spices, and spill them all over the ground. So we made it where we found a bin that would fit in the cabinet above the microwave. That way she could grab down the bin whenever she needed her spices, but they were not at level for her 2-year-old to be able to get his hands on. But that's also what I mean when I say sometimes your organization is going to change, because yes, right now that is a thing where she's got to think about the 2-year-old. How can we organize things that the 2-year-old isn't going to completely get into and destroy? But in another year, 2 years, she's not going to have to worry about that anymore. We're not going to have to worry about the little sticky fingers and hands getting into everything. The other thing is, if you are doing this and you have a significant other and you're like, I don't know what to do with these things, like, this isn't mine, this is his. We made a specific basket for her husband. That way, when it came to her, she didn't need to make the decision. I'm like, put it in this basket. One, he shouldn't be as overwhelmed because you're not giving him a big project. You're like, here's a basket. Go through this basket. Let me know what you need, what you don't need. Put it away where it's supposed to be put away. Do whatever you need. But for us, we were able to get it out of the way and not have to worry about it. And we all have these junk drawers. You got to admit it. It's either in our kitchen or our office. All of us have them. So it's nice, though, to take everything out when you are doing a massive clean and declutter like this. But at the same time, as you can see, we are still sectioning it off. We are only doing one drawer at a time. We are not taking everything out of every single cabinet, everything out of every single drawer. For me personally, that is so overwhelming that I would not be able to actually go through it and stay motivated. So going through it like this, where you are breaking it down, is so much better. Plus, if you get to a point where you're just done for the day. For me, I only had so many hours that I could be here. So I needed to make sure that when we're at a point where I had to go home, that we could stop, but the house didn't feel worse than when I got there. And often when you do these big declutters and you pull everything out, it's one of those, it gets worse before it gets better. And that's not always the best course of action. Now, play it off of how you do things best. I know I have definitely tried the Marie Kondo way of pulling everything out and doing it that way. And I have learned that is just not for me. I need it broken down. I need to see progress, and I need to be able to walk away when I need to walk away. Even in my own house, I know with having a baby and a 4-year-old at home that yes, during the day when the boys are at school, I can get a good amount done, but I still have the baby and Freya, and you never know. I could start a project and then Athena wants to be held and played with the rest of the day, and I'm not able to finish it. So being able to just stop and not feel overwhelmed that all of this stuff is just laying out, for me, is very, very important.
I don't know if I'm the one you want. Should I go, or should I leave this on? Because lately I've been getting this feeling that you might like me too. And just maybe I could take a little risk for you. Make me move. Oh, I see you standing there. I just wanna get out of here with you. Oh, baby, I with you. Oh, baby, with you. You're coming closer, I can feel it, and I don't know what to do. Oh, baby, what to do? Oh, what should I do?
All right, so I know the comment's going to come of how many water glasses do you need? And this is when I want to remind you, decluttering does not all have to be done in one day. And if you are just starting out, it's okay to break it down. And if you don't get rid of enough this time, to go back another day, because it's hard when you first start out. It's really hard to figure out what, especially when there's things you love. Those water glasses, she really enjoyed, and she did get rid of a good amount. There were a couple that she couldn't make decisions on because they were ones that her husband got, but it's totally okay to be like, okay, I got rid of a lot, probably not as much as I should have. So I'll come back in a month from now and do this again. The great thing is it's so much more organized and downsized that when she does decide to do that, it's going to be so much easier and so much less overwhelming. Even with how much was still here, we were able to get rid of another carload of trash and donations and everything. And for how small this kitchen is, that makes a massive difference. The other thing you have to remember is we're not working in a huge space. This house is probably maybe 1,000 square feet, something like that. So you have to be very strategic with where things go. So there's no pantry, so we are working with these drawers, which, by the way, I absolutely love drawers in a kitchen over cabinets. I think they are the best thing. If you are remodeling your kitchen, please do me a favor and put in more drawers than cabinets. Now, cabinets do work in some situations, but it makes life so much easier. It's so much easier to organize, and things don't get losing my train of talking there. Things don't get misplaced as easily in drawers because you can pull it out and see everything in it. I cannot rave enough when it comes to drawers. Whenever I go into someone else's kitchen and they have drawers, I love it so much because it makes a massive, massive difference when it comes to going through and organizing everything. Now, when it came to this utensil drawer, once again, pulling everything out, and she was working on a different area of the kitchen. Like I said, it was great. We were able to knock out so much stuff between the two of us. So what I wanted to do was pull everything out, do my initial clean of this drawer, and then I started organizing it by like tools. That way she could see all the things that she had duplicates of. Because often, especially when we have drawers like this that are so overly filled, we don't even realize what we have. So breaking it down and showing that, okay, we've got 4 spatulas and we've got all these different knives. And I feel like knives are another thing, kind of like pots and pans, where we feel guilty about getting rid of them because they came in sets. But I don't know about you. In our house, now mine is steak knives. We have multiple steak knives. But when it comes to knives for actually like chopping up fruits and vegetables, I have 3 that I use. Oh no, that's a lie. 4, because I also have my bread knife. So I don't use like a whole block of knives. I have no need for that many knives. So being able to go through, this is, you can see she's kind of looking and seeing what all she has. And we are going through and she's slowly downsizing what she actually needs. And then I even went back and we were like, okay, so these white mixing spoons, how many of these do you need? She had 2 small ones, 2 big ones. So we ended up getting rid of one of the small ones, one of the big ones. We also looked at the spatulas. She had multiple spatulas. So it's like, okay, which ones do you want to keep? Which ones can we get rid of? And we were able to get down to 2 of them. This just makes it a lot easier when you can see everything you have and really decide what you need and what you don't.
Let me know, do you feel me too? Let it show, 'cause babe, I'm into you. We've been on and off, in and out, up and down, too many times.
Now, when it comes to dishes, this was me kind of explaining what I think is best, deciding on what to keep and what not to keep. I always say when it comes to dishes, if you don't have a dishwasher especially, keep 2 per person in your family. 2 plates, 2 cups. Actually, nowadays, most of us have like huge water bottles that we keep on hand. I know I do. My kids do. We clean this exact same one and use the exact same one every single day. Or if you host, so like we do family dinners on Sunday. So I know I have the exact amount of dishes I need if I am hosting friends and family, but I don't have more than that. I don't want to have an overabundance because when it comes to dishes, once it if you have the dishes to just keep using new, you're going to. And over time, when your sink fills up with dishes, it gets so overwhelming. And I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of washing dishes. Where if you're out of dishes, but you only have a couple per person in your family, it's not overwhelming and it's pretty quick to be able to go in and clean them. And staying on top of cleaning your kitchen is actually a lot easier by doing those projects more often. And you're forcing yourself to do them more often by having less of those things. So if you are a family of 4 and you don't host a lot, you really only need 8 plates and 8 bowls. And honestly, you could probably even cut it down to less than that, but I like to start with 2 per person. That way you at least got breakfast and lunch figured out. But forcing yourself to do it more often, as much as it may be like, oh, I don't like doing dishes, I don't want to do it more often, it actually makes it easier. And I talk about this regularly when I do like cleaning in my own house, how those jobs I hate doing, organizing my pantry, cleaning out my fridge, scrubbing down my shower, those are actually the projects I do more often because it makes it so much less overwhelming when you do it more often than letting it sit for 6 months to a year and then having to do a massive, massive job. If you just take a couple minutes a week to do those things, those jobs that you dread are so much less dreadful in the long run. So here's another one. When's the last time you went through your medicine cabinet? I know I'm not the best at remembering to go through our medicine cabinet, but this is a great time to go through it, get rid of any medication that you're not using anymore, get rid of any medication that is expired, anything like that. So we took our time and we went through all of her different medications. And when you've got a family, there's a lot of them. But you could have prescriptions from when your kids were sick a year ago, or when little Johnny broke his foot last month, or whatever it is. There's so many different types of medications, and especially when you have kids, like they just pile up quickly, and taking the time to go through each of them to see, okay, which ones do we actually still use and don't can save you so much space. So take the time today to go through your medicine cabinet and really figure out what you need, what you don't need, what's expired, and get rid of the stuff you don't need anymore. Another thing we did, this section of the kitchen had a lot of mail and paperwork and just random papers. So we ended up grabbing a bin for papers. Papers can be really overwhelming, but they can also just be very time consuming and tedious. And when you're taking on a big project like this, I don't recommend going through the papers at this time. Now, I'm not saying put them to the side and never go through them, but this is a great way to just set it to the side. This is something that you can do at night after you're done doing everything, watching your TV show. Just slowly go through those papers in the bin, and don't let that one project stop you from really getting the progress done that you could get done working on something else. So in this situation, it made a huge difference because it was a lot of papers and stuff. So just setting it to the side, kind of like when it came to her husband's stuff. Instead of trying to figure it out, we just set it to the side. He can go through it when he's home from work later in the day. Same with these papers. She can go through it later when she's got kids are down for bed, she's watching her favorite TV show, and just kind of slowly go through it and figure it out. And we can really work on the stuff that is going to make the biggest difference in their day-to-day lives. I was so proud though. So I was actually at her house today starting on the makeover process of this room because obviously this video was filmed a couple days ago. So it's been a couple days since. But over the weekend while I was gone, she has been so motivated to get more and more done that she actually went into her son's room and, his room needed some work. Young boys. If you've got young boys, you know how they are. And she was able to completely get his room done, started working on her room. It's funny how just these little things of helping someone out can completely change their mood and motivate them to get so much more done. That's why I like to start in big impact areas, because you'll find that by tackling these big impact areas, it'll then give you the motivation to tackle those areas that are a little more just obscure, out to the side, but it gives you that motivation. That's probably the biggest question so many people ask is, how do you get motivated to get so much done? And I talk about it. It's using the timer trick. It's breaking tasks down so you don't get overwhelmed, but it's also working on high impact areas. So if you have a space in your house that is overwhelming you, or if your house is overwhelming you in general, I want you to figure out what's going to make the biggest impact for your day-to-day life and tackle that spot first. And if you're going to tackle it, break it down into sections and work in the areas that will visually give the biggest impact. So if I was doing this all by myself on this day and I didn't have as much work, my very first thing I would have tackled would have been just organizing the counters and getting the space visually more organized and clean. Because by doing that, you're going to be a lot more motivated to actually go into the drawers and go into the cabinets. Now, luckily, we were able to pretty much tackle every single drawer and every single cabinet in this house. So we were really able to get in here. But if you're doing it by yourself, that's not always doable, especially if you're doing it by yourself and you've got kids and a million other things to take care of, work full time outside of the house. Like, you really do have to break it down, but focus on a high impact room first and focus on high impact areas. So flat surfaces, those cabinets that you go into on the daily basis, and the other things will come in time. It doesn't all have to be done at once. I say this all the time, but you have to really, really focus on the progress and not getting it perfect at first, because it doesn't have to be perfect. First of all, like, we don't have to be living these Pinterest, Instagram worthy lives all the time. I think for a lot of us, that's truly not even doable. But if you do a little bit today, it's going to make a difference in the long run. I always tell people, think about it like losing weight. You may think that those 5 pounds this month is nothing, and we feel like just going to give up the diet. I've only lost 5 pounds. I don't see a difference. But if you gave up, you wouldn't see yourself in a year from now. And those 5 pounds over 12 months add up to be a massive difference. It's the same thing when it comes to getting your place decluttered, cleaned, and organized. You may think 30 minutes today is nothing. Like, that's not adding any value to my life. but 30 minutes today, 30 minutes tomorrow, it adds up, and it adds up quickly. And over time, you're going to notice a massive difference in the way you're living, the way you're feeling. Everything's just going to come together so much more smoothly over time. So focus on the progress. Don't focus on the perfection. And remember that a little bit today is better than nothing at all. All right, so we were winding down for the day. I was running out of time and was going to have to get going in about 30 minutes. So I'm like, okay, let's tackle this like island area and get it all organized out and decluttered. This is definitely a drop zone for them. So there's a little bit of everything here. So we just started putting stuff slowly back where it belongs, throwing stuff out that need to get thrown out. Anything that was, like I said, her husband's got put in a husband section. That way they could deal with that. And you can even see by the door, we were just setting the donations in the garbage because I'm like, let's not even worry about taking it outside right now. We will do that all at the end. We don't need to focus our energy on getting it out of the house right now. But I will say I do recommend getting rid of it as soon as possible. That's why I love taking their donations right away, because often when you've got a house full of kids and she works 80 hours a week, it's one of those things that it can get pushed to the side, and slowly those things like to work their way back into the house. So get rid of it as soon as possible. If you've got to put it in your car or in the garage or whatever it is, just make sure that those donations, or even if you're going to sell stuff, I do tell people when they're going to sell stuff, give yourself a time frame. If you really, really want to sell those clothes that you don't wear anymore, give yourself 30 days. 30 days to get them listed and sold. If they are not listed and sold in 30 days, get rid of them. Because at that point, are you really going to get it done? Often we're not. So give yourself a time frame if you're going to sell stuff. And if it comes to donations, just get it gone as soon as possible. It may not be right that same day, but if it can be the next day or the day after that, just within that week of doing these projects, get it out of the house. It makes a huge difference when you're not holding on to all of these things that you're trying to declutter.
Your love is strong for him. Why would it not be? He's always there for you.
I will say, though, I was kind of jealous of this sink. I realize this is like restaurant style sink, but man, was it convenient. My mom and I have talked that if we ever get land, we really want a prep kitchen. My mom and I both really want to work on like preserving food and things like that. And when it comes to like canning or processing meat and things like that, it's not something that is always fun to do in your kitchen, and we really want to have a prep space to do it. And I saw this sink, and I'm like, this is what we need in our prep kitchen, Mom. This is like the perfect, it's so easy to keep clean, and it's got so much space and everything. I was very jealous of this. It, like I said, it seems silly, but the amount of space, the availability to put stuff on these sides to let them dry, and it goes straight into the sink. Oh, that would be such a game changer. But as the day winded down, I'm just trying to do those last minute things. So we're going to give the whole kitchen a good vacuum, a good mopping, and then just kind of put things back where they belong. That way when her husband came home, because so her husband knew I was helping her, but she never really told him what days I was coming. So it was always a big surprise when he got home from work, a new space in the house being completely transformed. She told me actually today when I was over there how he got home after this day and was just like jaw dropped of how nice the kitchen was. He's like, oh my goodness, we have a kitchen again. And it always makes me feel good. And I'm sure it makes her feel really good for him to come home and notice and be so appreciative of all the hard work that we got done. Sometimes just getting that verbal appreciation makes a huge difference. But I'm going to show you guys again all the befores and then all the afters. You guys are not going to believe this transformation.
This is my pity party. I'm gonna cry all night and I'll flip the bird at the guys. I don't need
Day 2 complete. That was a huge success. I have to say I'm loving working with this mama because she is so motivated to get stuff out of her house and clean and organize that we got rid of another like 4 or 5 bags just of trash. And I have a van load of donations again. And not just things, but also like food donations. We went through her food and she's like, I don't use this. I'm like, well, you don't need to hold on to it. There are food banks, food pantries that I can take them to. That way you're not just throwing away. They're still getting really good use out of them. So if you're ever like struggling with, I bought this, I don't want it just to go to waste and throw it out. Remember, there are so many places that you can take stuff for donations, and food shelters and food banks are a great option for items that you bought and your family just doesn't eat. So, great option. Oh, but I'm tired. I'm ready to go home, take a shower, and relax. I think we were talking the next thing on our to-do list will be her bedroom. That's the next area that would be a huge relief if she got under control and everything. But you can already tell just the relief. The family room was just like normal daily mess when I went out there today. Clothes were being folded, but toys were all pretty good. So you can already tell just minimalizing and downsizing is making it a lot easier for not just her to keep up with her things, but for the rest of the family to be helpful as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video though. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're new, and drop this emoji right here if you made it to the end. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye.